Welcome back into the program, everybody. Good to have you with us. We're the spot where we always keep you the best informed audience in all of radio. There is a conservative group out there known as the Michigan Freedom Fund, and it advocates for conservative policies in our government, both state and nationally. And they're being heard from now. The executive director of the Michigan Freedom Fund is Tony Daunt, who is joining us this morning to talk a little bit about what might lie ahead for us here in Michigan politically. We've got a governor's election, gubernatorial election coming up next year. And Tony Daunt, I don't know if you heard the governor's press conference today, but in some ways it sounded like a person almost making a statement that, yes, I'm running for re-election with all of the claims of success against coronavirus and yet continuing shutdowns. So good morning to you, first of all. Good to have you with us, Tony.
Good morning, Frank. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, so Governor Whitmer ran the Biden campaign here in Michigan. She was at the inauguration, of course, which is a great honor above all else. But she also now has been nominated to serve as a ranking member by President Biden on the Democrat National Committee. And I wonder, on the conservative side, looking at this as we head toward her re-election campaign, how you interpret all of this.
Well, I think it unfortunately, flying out to Washington, D.C. for the inaugural party and taking on this very political role with the DNC shows what this governor's real priorities are, and that's the advancement of her political career. And, to spend months, really a year now, having pressed the citizens of this state about the importance of not traveling and masking up and all of the different things that come with stemming the tide of this pandemic. It's a real slap in the face, especially those people who just days before had written her a letter begging for the ability to open up so that they can protect their livelihood and get back to work. To fly out there, take some selfies, and kind of disregard her own advice it's foolish. And, it shows a double standard that I think the people of this state don't like. They don't want to see that from their leaders. And, I hope they're noticing that and keeping that in mind over the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Will she be viewed as she moves toward the National Democratic Party here as being a success with the way that she has handled coronavirus, though, Tony?
There's a lot of time between now and in November of 2022, and despite, as you said, I didn't get a chance to watch the press conference, but I saw just a couple of points of what was discussed, and the fact that you pointed out nicely that it's all about here's the great things that we've done. And certainly that's what politicians do. They never point out the failures and the things that have not been done well. But, we've got thousands of restaurants that have closed for good, hundreds of thousands of people out of work because of that. A vaccine rollout that is a dismal failure with, more than the last I saw, more than 50% or around 40% or so of the vaccines that have been pushed out, not in arms. And those are the things that I think as time goes on and people get more and more tired of this pandemic dragging on and kind of the goalpost move of when we can get back to some sense of normalcy, those things will start to wear on folks. And then throw in the fact that our roads are still in dismal shape, and that was the key plank of her election campaign of fixing those damn roads. All of those things I think will start to pile up, and it's incumbent on the Republicans to govern and lead responsibly and point those things out and make sure that the people in this state know about them.
Yeah, now I'm sure some people out there, Tony, are thinking right now, why are we talking about the governor's race? That's not until November of 2022, and that's almost 2 full years away. But it's something that politicians look at way in advance, isn't it?
Oh, it's. I think it's something that politicians look at their next election as soon as the results are in from the one they just ran. And in many ways that's frustrating because I think it gets in the way of good policy getting done and people working together. Speaker Wentworth has been very clear in particular, and Senate Majority Leader Shirkey, that, they have reached out to this governor numerous times since the elections in November to sit down and work through kind of where can we work together? Here's our policy priorities. Let's, you need us to get things done. We need you to get things done. And it's each time they seem to reach their hand out, it gets slapped away. And you can't get things done in this state without the three parts of the stool, three legs, staying together and holding up the bench. And so, hopefully that changes. Hopefully now that the presidential election is behind us and Joe Biden's been inaugurated, this governor will focus on serving the state of Michigan.
As the Michigan Freedom Fund looks at this governor's term in office and this unprecedented challenge that she's had with coronavirus, and I think we all agree nobody's ever dealt with something like this in our memory, our lifetimes here in Michigan. Will she be viewed as a success with the way she's dealt with this, Tony?
I think the verdict is still out, but so far, the results point to not at all. That it has thus far been a failure. It was still with the vaccines, with the businesses being shut down, and the fact that so much focus has been on national politics and advancing, her career with the Democratic Party. And myself, the Michigan Freedom Fund, we were very deferential at the beginning of this, as so many people were. Give the governor time to, and her administration time to figure out what's going on, protect their hospitals, all of that. And that simply was not reciprocated to those who provided that deference. It was that the power was collected and then everybody else was pushed aside. And, when you do that, ultimately all of the consequences will fall on you, and she will have nobody to blame but herself as things continue to kind of fall apart with the response to this.
Mm-hmm. Tony Daunt, do you have any thoughts on who might be the Republican nominee to oppose her for re-election next year?
I don't. Obviously everybody was focused on the possibility of Candace Miller. I think she would have been a fantastic choice. She's experienced, no nonsense, but she's indicated she doesn't have any interest. But there's still some time. I'm sure there are folks thinking about this. And so long as we rally around somebody who has a compelling story that can point out what Republicans stand for, what we're going to do, how we'll protect you, how we'll get this economy back on track, I think we'll have great success.
Well, the governor's going to have great support, too. Now that she's been made a ranking member of the Democrat National Committee, she'll get even more support from the National Party, I think, in her re-election campaign. Thanks for coming on with us, Tony. Really do appreciate the time this morning.
Always happy to do so. Thanks, Frank.